All right, good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi there.
All right, so we've got some stuff to discuss tonight. The first of which being Dungeon Crawl. That's coming up in just under a month now. It's our Principality event for February, and also coordination for all parks here, which means there's going to be pretty lengthy court and a lot of awards. Does anyone have awards they're going to want given to their populace that's above their land's ability to give?
Not Lupine Moon.
No.
No.
You'll probably want to have a discussion with Ravenstone. Oh wait, they're barony now. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, I will anyway, just to be sure. Okay, so doing the math here, we have 5 parks and then, Principality Court. So, I think what we're going to do when it comes time to actually be giving award, court time on the floor, I'm going to have to limit everyone to 10 minutes because that still adds up to an hour. Does that sound reasonable to everyone?
As it stands, Astral Winds more than likely isn't going to be doing awards there. I don't know if I'm even going to be able to make it.
Oh, well, that makes me sad, but okay.
I have the same challenge. This time I've been told I have to be somewhere else. There's a chance I may be able to get free. But I'm not planning on giving awards there for that very reason. I'm planning on doing it at the Shire here.
Okay.
Lupine Moon plans to be there in full force, and we do intend to do awards there. And I will do my very bestest to keep to 10 minutes.
Yay!
I think Frozen Coast is going to show up for this event. And if I don't keep it to 10 minutes, you guys should fire me.
Firing is so boring. Can't we come up with something exciting than that?
I leave it to your imagination.
Beheadings.
Excellent.
I like you, Hazel.
Okay.
I'm far less interested in organizing this event all of a sudden.
Well, it's too late for that, Njal. You got to do it now. So, that was actually the majority of what I wanted to touch on Dungeon Crawl, was let you guys know if there's any awards you want given out to your people that's above your land's ability to do. Please let me know. And also, the 10-minute thing. And I know it's not uncommon for other parks to do, awards either the weekend before or the weekend after due to travel complications or whatnot. So that was part of what I wanted to find out. But do you guys have any questions on Dungeon Crawl?
Specifically regarding court or the event in general? Or?
Anything to do with the event at all?
I haven't seen anything posted. Are we doing like a leadership summit kind of thing on Sunday morning?
Yes, we will do that.
And do we have a schedule posted yet or anything?
No, I will be posting a schedule very soon. Just in the last few days, the venue for the feast had to change because of cost. So I should be able to get the address and everything and post that. I just didn't want to post it and then make changes.
Yep, totally understand.
Yeah, and Njal, I did go in and do a bit of editing in that Google Doc to update where Feast was, and I punched in the address to the Elks Lodge there for you.
Haha, it's already been done.
And then,
Are there any responsibilities my shire needs to do should someone at the feast time?
They need to be awesome.
done.
10-4.
Do we have anything planned for Friday evening?
Nothing like super official. I mean, just kind of, we have access to the big room in the hotel, so we were just going to do like a, meet and greet kind of hangout thing, but no official function is planned, no.
Cool.
I'm still working with the local game store. I would like the official Friday Night Magic the Gathering tournament, but I haven't heard back from them yet, so I need to contact them again and see if we can host that.
Sweet.
Is the hotel the same one? I am blissfully clueless, or maybe not blissfully.
Yeah.
Yes, this.
Rates, anything like that?
Well, I'm not sure what it would be for you personally to just go in there and rent a hotel room, but if you're looking at a dungeon crawl ticket, we have different different ticket levels. Some of them include a hotel room.
Cool. I just hadn't honestly even seen that posted yet. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong place.
No, that's one of the things that we need to get posted ASAP. We have not.
Hadelind actually posted a link to the Square Up page that has all the prices listed for the different ticket levels and such.
I was going to say, I did actually post the prices a couple weeks ago. I'll go bump that on Facebook so that it's more prominent.
Yeah, and just for reference, they're pretty much the same prices as last year because I believe that Njal was able to secure the same discounted hotel rate for us. So just as in the past, and Njal, correct me if I'm wrong, if you purchase a dungeon crawl ticket, you get your hotel at a discounted rate as compared to if you just walk in off the street to get a room, because we reserve so many at once. So advantageous to purchase your dungeon crawl ticket.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't get a hotel room on your own. Get it through us because it's a good rate.
And we kind of take over everything on the first floor. So if you get your own room, you're going to be stuck in the back on the second floor.
The ticket includes, depending on which level of ticket you get, it'll include a hotel room or not if you want to get the $25 ticket. But the ticket includes the hotel if you buy the right one. It includes your entrance into the dungeon all day Saturday. It includes the hot dog lunch that we're going to do, and it includes the cost of the feast. So it's, when you buy the ticket, you're paying for everything you need.
Okay, were there any more questions on Dungeon Crawl? Okay, hearing none, we will move on past that. How's everyone doing with budgets? We have a meeting, this emergency board meeting this coming Sunday to talk budgets. Is everyone on track for that? Not just talk budget, but actually, finalize what we're going to be presenting at Dungeon Crawl.
So I have said a couple of times that I would help post like a template kind of deal for helping people gather the information that they need. I have actually started it earlier this evening on the forum, so I have a draft post that I'm working on that just sort of walks through the different areas to consider as you're bringing forth, a year's worth of expenses that your park will, should be keeping in mind. So my goal is to have that posted not long after this meeting, and I know I've said a couple times I would get it done, but I'm really, really going to do it today.
Sweet.
I really hope to have a draft done tomorrow. I'm not quite as caught up as Hadelind is. But circling back to Dungeon Crawl really quick. Hadelind, did you get the insurance thing information updated?
Yeah, I actually replied to one of your posts with direct links to the insurance documents that live in G Drive. I hadn't posted them on the forums, but I can do that too. One thing that we do need to probably look at is if we need to add any additional insureds. Does the Quality Inn need to be listed as additional insured, and the 2 other facilities that we're utilizing for this? Those have been free for us to add in the last year, but I know the first year that we had this insurance, it cost us an extra $10 for each additional insured that we added. But anyhow, now is the time to do that.
Okay. I guess I misunderstood you when you said that earlier. I was confused. I thought you were referring to Puddle.
Oh, yeah. So typically whenever, like when we do anything at the Ren Fair or the State Fair or the Dome or anything like that, they ask to be added to have their facility or their company added as an additional insured, so that any claims that are made against them in relationship to our activity would be covered under our insurance. And that's pretty standard for facilities that allow events to be held at them.
Yeah, and so maybe you and I should talk about how we get those different locations added in.
Yep. The only thing I need is the name of the company and their address, and then we just send in an email to the insurance company. So, but yeah, let's touch base on that, and we'll get that all up to date.
I'll send you the.
Perfect.
Sorry, that was all.
No worries. Okay, so everyone's on track there. Then going to be ready so we can hammer out that meeting in hopefully under 3 hours this time.
As far as it stands, Astral Winds does not have a budget yet because I cannot find any of the previous budget documents to base our next year's off of, and we also still don't have access to our Principality bank account or our UAF funds. So we have actually no idea how much money we have.
Let's chat when this meeting is over and make a plan to get all those things situated. I will help you.
We've talked to Jen a couple times about getting that access, and nothing's come of that yet.
I suspect we can make some headway with some documents at Dungeon Crawl. Even if they get like shipped down with somebody.
The only problem with that would be that the BOD meeting is next weekend and Dungeon Crawl is 2 weekends after, so we would end up having to do a budget amendment after that.
Oh, we can get all of the numbers that we need prior to that. Another thing that just reminded me though is that when we have the BOD meeting, one of the things we need to vote on is getting the right people on the right bank accounts, because I know Sabin, as a newly appointed or newly positioned obtained Prime Minister, we need to vote on him to have access to the Astral Winds bank account, and then we can do all the signy paperworky things with Alaska USA. As far as the UAF funds go, I believe that Wackerback is the I don't know, staff sponsor, and I think that Minnie is still considered the club liaison.
At this point, you're right about the UAF bank account. The problem has been getting in contact with those two people and figuring out what needs to be done to either transfer that or just getting a statement of what's there.
Yeah, that part I may be less able to help with. The other thing that we need to keep in mind is that technically those funds aren't part of the Northreach budget because they belong to a different organization, the UAF Gaming Society. And while there is a lot of overlap, technically they're two separate entities. So, yeah, I'm less able to be helpful with that.
I completely understand, but at the same time, if we have the capability to cover something, I don't necessarily want to tax the Northreach budget for it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so we'll work on getting all that cleared up so you guys can at least get information on your Northreach account. And I guess we'll see what we can do to help you with the UAF one, but as Hadelind said, that is a little less in our jurisdiction, harder for us to help you with.
I'll see if I can kick Minnie.
There you go. Were there any other questions, thoughts, comments, concerns as people are working on their budgets here?
I guess one of the things that I wanted to offer, because I know that Alora has expressed desire for assistance with her budget, and so had Melissa. If you guys want to, like, we could set up a time to meet on Mumble to just go over things. I'm happy to help. I know it's been hard to actually meet up to get that help. So if we just wanted to set aside like a dedicated time, I am totally willing to do that.
It's possible we did that. I have not been able to understand most of this last conversation. The last 8 minutes or so has been almost completely garbled. I tried reconnecting, so I'm really sorry if I'm missing something here.
We were just talking about if everyone's going to be prepared for presenting their budget, and then we discussed some things that were going on in Astral Winds. I don't think you've missed anything that we have directly specified to you, other than are you doing okay with your budget, or do you need help?
I'm hoping our budget is coming along. I think it will be done by the end of this week. And if not, I definitely will be reaching out.
Okay, well, our board meeting to approve the budget that we're presenting at Dungeon Crawl is this Sunday, so it will definitely need it to be done by the end of this week.
Thank
But yeah, for sure. If you need help, you and or your prime minister or whoever's working on it need help getting that situated, don't hesitate to ask. We're happy to do what we can to make it as easy and painless as possible. Okay, unless there's anything left unsaid, I think that wraps us up for budgets until our budget meeting on Sunday. So on some update topics, as far as our kingdom bid, I did email the bylaws and admin manual documents off to Sir Randall, who's the chair of the executive committee for the Circle of Monarchs. So that is now in their hands, and I've started a chat with him, our queen, and myself, Aurora, and Hadelind on proceeding forward. The reason I have Jen and Hadelind in there is that Jen is the current Northreach Prime Minister who's working on it, and Hadelind will be presumably the Prime Minister handling the actual bid. I haven't actually heard a lot from them on what our next steps need to be yet, but that communication is there, and we're doing what we can to make sure this gets done.
Yay!
Yeah, hooray! As far as Grand Academy, Mara has rebooked the BP Center for, I want to say, the 16th through the 22nd. The dates are on the page anyway. I've updated them there. And so the only thing we have to do now is just reconfirm that all of our instructors will be available for those classes. And basically we have to look at the budget, or the, not budget, the schedule that was posted and make sure that we can translate it over to those days. I haven't touched base with Mara in a couple days, but I haven't heard of any problems yet. And so I will touch base with her here. Actually, I'll send her a message in just a second. But as far as I know, that's all going smoothly and transitioning very well.
So I think one of the things that we should consider for the rescheduled event is to sort of make a hype plan or an advertising plan. I think part of what we ran into with the dates that we had wasn't necessarily so much an issue with the dates, but we lost some important opportunities to really hype it up and educate people about it. So as now that we have some more time, I'd really like to see us make a plan for making sure that it's first and foremost in people's minds, using Dungeon Crawl to really push it and educate people. I don't know, maybe set up like a Grand Academy table or something on Friday night or Saturday after court, so people who have questions or just want to talk about cool Grand Academy stuff. I don't know, just some ways that we can all do our part to make sure it's a really good, successful event.
Yeah, for sure. That table's a really good idea. But yeah, we definitely need to hype it more than we did and continually between now and then. And then I did just before the meeting started here, I posted the official numbers that were the all thing results on approving the corpora. So that's available now. Was there? I feel like there was something else that somebody wanted to talk about, and I've forgotten what it was.
So I had a couple questions about what our re-wavering plan was, and maybe to start talking about some autocrats for some upcoming sort of spring events. And then also we had talked about Yuki Fest, Takai Con events, and I wasn't sure. I think Rage might have been tagged to wrangle those, and obviously that's not happening now, so just wasn't sure if we knew where those were, if they need somebody new to pick them up, if we want to pursue them.
For one of them, and I want to say it was Yuki Fest, I'll have to get back with him, but Hars had messaged me asking if I wanted him to get us in touch with the right people for a booth, if that was an option. I said, yes, please. And he did that and said that they would be contacting me soon, and then I dropped the ball and didn't follow up on that, and I have not heard from them. So I will see if I can get that contact information from Hars and see if we can still get that ball rolling.
Okay, sounds good. Because I know that one is like January 28th, and it's a great one in Ravenstone's backyard that has actually recruited quite a few new players for them. So it's a really good recruiting and sort of anchor event for the Valley.
Yeah, totally. I am messaging Hars right now.
So am I. Sorry. It's like second nature after 5 months of working together.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, we'll have to figure that out. Hopefully it's not too late to make some things happen.
Yuki Fest is pretty laid back. I'm sure they're not going to run out of room, and I'm sure they would love to have us there to do some type of demo or use the gym. They're pretty used to us being a part of it, so.
Sweet. As far as the re-wavering process, I know that we didn't think to do that at Principality Day, but I know Sunday in Frozen Coast, they took a few minutes out of the beginning of the day, and sorry, I got a message from Hars and I was reading it. But anyway, they took a few minutes out of the day, and all the officers just worked to make sure that they got the re-wavering done as fast as possible, and it took up as little time. That's probably the format we should pursue across the state, is just dedicate a few minutes and get her done right at the beginning of the day.
Yeah, I was thinking one of the things that I would do for so I'm autocratting the Lupin Moon crown quals, and then I'm assisting on the day of for the Ravenstone crown quals. And so I figured we would just because those are tournaments for both days, when you sign up for tournaments or sign up to enter anything for crown quals, re-waiver at that point in time too. And I figure I'll just sort of encourage that for both parks. So hopefully we can capture a lot of Lupin Moon and Ravenstone with that method. And then of course we'll continue to catch people as they sign in. And then so previously what we've done at Dungeon Crawl is when you sign in, if you don't have a waiver on file, meaning uploaded to the a waiver document or waiver folder in G Drive, then you fill out another one before you're ever allowed to enter the dungeon. That's been a really good way to catch people.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I know
Sorry.
I know it's a primarily Prime Minister duty, but if each of us as monarchs are also aware of that and like reminding people, then between the prime ministers and the monarchs, we ought to be able to get everybody up to snuff on those waivers, which are really important.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that sounds like a plan. Between all of those things, we should get everybody re-wavered pretty quickly and pretty efficiently. Hazel, I saw you were kind of flitting in and out there. Did you catch most of that, or?
That was a here.
As in, you only heard part of it, or?
I'm sorry. As in, I.
Okay, great. Unless someone had something else to discuss, I think that about wraps us up for tonight, guys.
Yeah, when is our next? So we meet on Sunday the 15th in the evening for a board meeting. Then are we still holding the regularly scheduled board meeting on the 4th Monday of January, or are we making that a Council of Crowns meeting, or skipping that because it's right before Dungeon Crawl, or?
I definitely think we should meet at that time because it is right before Dungeon Crawl. We could just hammer out all the board business that I mean, except barring anything we just wouldn't know needed to be done, because it hadn't arisen yet. But we could just hammer out everything we know of Sunday and then make that meeting just a Council of Crowns meeting, just to make sure everyone's on the same page and ready to go right before Dungeon Crawl.
Sounds good to me.
I'm sorry, what was it on that again?
So there's a board meeting Sunday the 15th to do our budget, and what we had actually just discussed is any other board business that we know of at the time. We're going to go ahead and hammer it out that Sunday, so that a meeting that is scheduled for the 4th Monday of January can just be a Council of Crowns meeting to make sure that we're all on the same page going into Dungeon Crawl.
So that next one would be the 23rd on my calendar. Monday the 23rd?
I don't have a calendar in front of me, but that sounds about right.
Yep, that's the 4th Monday.
I know right now that I will not be able to meet that one. I have a class I'm teaching that particular night.
Okay, it is mostly just to make sure we're on the same page type meeting, and make sure everyone's good to go. Oh, lost her again. Yeah, that meeting is just to make sure everyone's on the same page and everyone's ready to go for Dungeon Crawl. So I will just Facebook message you after that meeting, and then you get back to me when you can, and I'll just catch you up then that way.
10-4 sounds fantastic. Just since we're all
You cut out, Hazel.
now you see her, now you don't. So what I was trying to say was, is there anything dramatic missing besides the budget that would normally be coming partially from my Prime Minister and partially from my...
Actually, I'm glad you asked that, because that's something that's one of the things I was feeling that I wanted to talk to everyone about. In order to do the budget, I've made a post on the Chancellor's Council, but if you all could touch base with your Prime Ministers just to make sure all the financial reports and everything are up to date, so that when we go to look at what monies we have and what monies we owe and whatnot, that's as updated as possible, so we can create as accurate of a budget as possible. I would super appreciate that from all of you.
No, so moving on from the topic of budget, something else that occurred to me was elections and ensuring that everybody's sort of up to speed on the timeline and that they'll be able to hold their elections on schedule and without issue, and just being aware of, if anybody's anticipating issues or difficulties or still, I don't know. I know there's a couple parks that didn't have people submit LOIs for all of their positions, so they'll have some, their incoming people will have some pro tem positions to appoint. So
Well, I'm one of those high maintenance little spots down here, but we're actually not doing too badly. We have letters of intent opening and should be going out. We have somebody for Prime Minister, Regent, and Monarch at this time. We're looking good on that.
So just to clarify, is your current Prime Minister stepping down? Because her term would continue until mid-reign.
Yeah, she's actually running for Monarch down there.
Gotcha.
Which means I get to be...
Hopefully on my hopeful new council.
I know you're just dying to ask me when all my stuff is due as Prime Minister. It's going to be even funnier than when I'm Monarch.
Oh, Hazel, I love working with you. It's going to be delightful.
Ah, but you have to find me first.
I know how to get a hold of Chi, so it'll be fine.
You know he leaves home eventually, right?
What? Anyhow, Luba Moon has candidates for each position, and we're looking good on our time frame. Mara has been doing a good job of keeping notifications up on who is a regular member and whatnot. So we're set up to, I think, have a pretty smooth election. I know there are still some people who need to do their Reeve and Corpora certifications, but Cruven and Pockets are both working on that, so that's really good. Speaking just from my peripheral knowledge of Ravenstone, I think they don't have anybody who submitted an LOI for GMR, but they have candidates for each other position, and I believe they've also been working maybe with Pockets and Cruven for their Reeve and Corpora tests. Their GMR hasn't been there the last couple weekends, so but I know that she was doing Reeve and Corpora tests before that, so I don't know what her I don't know if she'll be here over the next couple weekends, but so they may have a little bit of a challenge in getting their candidates Reeve and Corpora certified, but I think that Lupa Moon and Northreach GMRs can assist them enough to get all of their candidates fully qualified.
Yeah, I did actually talk to Alora a little bit about the difficulties they're having. Well, rather, she messaged me and told me about them, the difficulties they're having getting the testing done, and I did mention to her that I would ask Pockets to assist with that. So I will message him right now while I'm thinking about it, and we'll make sure that we get that taken care of.
Cool, and I'll touch base with Cruven as well to see if he's able to help out.
So Frozen Coast got LOIs for all 4 offices. People are taking their tests. A lot of them did it at AFGard yesterday. We have ground calls next, this upcoming Sunday, and then elections after that. I think we're pretty well set up.
As far as Astral Winds go, we've had 2 LOIs submitted for Champion and Monarch. Only one of them has passed a Reeves test. Still waiting on the Capora, and as far as Crown Calls go, they're this Saturday. So that is, per Capora, the cutoff for them to be qualified for testing.
So we just have the remaining nebulous definition of what's the cutoff date for valid candidacy regarding attendance.
I think that something important to remember is that you can have letter of the law and the intent of the law, and what we should try to follow here is the intent law.
Yeah, and as far as those requirements go, it's always been my understanding, although I've had limited to no experience where it's been an issue, so I've never had to look too deep into it. But it's always been my understanding that as long as they meet those requirements at the time that they would take office, then they are considered eligible.
So are we making a determination so that Astral Winds can have an answer?
If that's within our power to do, sure. I don't want to make a ruling that violates, some line in the corpora that I have missed and, that I didn't know about. But that was my understanding, is that as long as they meet the requirements by the time they take office, and as long as I'm not going to clash with the corpora by making that an official statement, then I'm fine with that.
So I will say that if a contract is ambiguous, it benefits the how do I say, the more lenient side rather than the more strict interpretation. And so if it's ambiguous as to what the cutoff is for that, I think we need to be more lenient and allow people to become qualified at coronation and not count against them haven't passed a test or something during the LOIs or the attendance then.
So I have a question. We're talking about, I think, two different sort of cutoff dates. My interpretation is they need to be an eligible candidate in order to be elected, so the day of election. But here I think I hear you guys talking about someone not having to be an eligible candidate until coronation, which is typically 2 weeks later, in which case that sets up a situation where we would be voting on people assuming that they would become eligible after the vote had already been held.
And that was partially bad wording on my part. I could see how you got that because I said when they would take office. And that wasn't exactly what I meant. I did mean at time of elections. When I say take office, I really mean get elected. So that was really poor wording on my part, but I did mean at elections.
Yeah, that seems, I mean, it would make me nervous to be voting on people who, at the time of the vote hadn't established whether or not they were actual eligible candidates.
Sure.
As far as attendance goes, I can agree, but there's already a established cutoff for testing 1 week prior to the actual election. It's in the general candidacy section.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we definitely, clearly we need to clarify so that it's not an ambiguous area moving forward. And really, I would support that concept that things need to be buttoned up a week before the election, because it makes everything really smooth for your prime ministers as they're preparing the ballot. They can be prepared ahead of time. They don't have to wait until the day of to make their ballots to know who's actually eligible to be participating in the election. But because that's not super clear right now, but we'll need to make some sort of decision. So
I think it's more important to have people who want to be there and are trying to get elected and at least have a chance to run for it. If they don't have other people available, can we just make a motion that there be an exception this time?
yeah, and actually I'm thinking about it, and the entire election is under the jurisdiction of the Northreach Prime Minister. And so if it's a gray area, I think it would also be appropriate for the Northreach Prime Minister to just make that decision. Ultimately, they're in charge of the entire election.
Yeah, that's true.
I have encouraged both the people that have submitted LOIs to continue to run regardless of their status for candidacy per corpora, just so that we have somebody actually running.
I support that and think that is an excellent way to approach this situation.
Yeah, so what we'll do here, I'll start a group chat, Melissa, with myself, you, Jen, and those candidates, and we will get this sorted out.
Sounds good.
And It's just now occurring to me it would make it easier for me to do that if I knew who those candidates were. I know one of them I think is Dieter, and the other is
Alamir, Brett, he's our current champion.
okay. Yeah, I'll do that as soon as we close up here, and we'll get that taken care of as quickly as we can.
Is Alamir missing anything for candidacy aside from the fact that crown quals haven't happened yet?
Crown quals and both tests.
Oh, okay. But your GMR has those tests and can still provide them to him?
We have those tests and we've made them available outside of days.
But he just hasn't taken them yet, or passed them? Or?
No, he hasn't taken them. We put the Reese test down in front of him at Afgard on Saturday, and he failed that one. So, as far as Reese test goes, he has two chances left, and then the Kapora, he's still at 3 attempts.
Okay. So he can do that before the cutoff.
He has until Saturday to pass both of those, the end of Saturday, and
right.
We'll make them available again at Afgard, but Saturday.
Right. Okay. So he may not need any type of exception as long as he can pass those tests, and then not that I'm saying that we're making an exception. That was a poor choice of words, but he may not be operating in any gray area.
That's correct.
And I guess the next Council of Crowns will have to work out how to appoint positions when you may not have regular members to appoint to those positions.
Yeah, that might be something that we have to address. Were there any further thoughts, comments, questions, concerns?
Not from Lupine Moon.
All right, hearing none, I am going to close this meeting and bid you all good night.
Good night, Northreach.